They hurt you, and you smiled. They lied, and you stayed silent. They tried to break you, and you did not shatter. But now, you stand at the edge of something dangerous. Revenge. It calls to you like a whisper. Strike back. Make them feel it. Show them who you are. But Jesus said, "Do not resist an evil person. If someone slaps you on the right cheek, turn to them the other also." What kind of man says this? A weak one? Number A man who walked into death without flinching. A man who carried the weight of human evil and still spoke of forgiveness. You want justice. So did he. But he knew something deeper. That revenge does not purify. It poisons. And you feel it. In your chest. That fire. That rage. But that fire wants to consume you too. Christ knew. He knew that when you answer darkness with darkness, you do not win. You become another shadow. You must choose, not between justice and weakness, but between vengeance and power. Because power is not retaliation. Power is restraint. Power is holding the blade and not using it. Power is looking your enemy in the eye and seeing a soul just as lost as you once were. "Vengeance is mine," says the Lord, not because he is petty, but because he is pure. And purity is not passive. It is violent in its refusal to be stained. You are not a man because you fight. You are a man because you can fight and choose not to. You think revenge will heal you, but it only continues the war. And Christ came to end the war. He stood before mockers, before tyrants, before death itself. And he did not raise his voice, because truth doesn't need volume. It needs conviction. He walked to his own execution with his eyes open and said, "Forgive them." Not to free them, to free himself. And so must you. You must forgive them, not to forget, not to let them win, but to refuse to carry the corpse of hate inside your chest. Let it go. Burn it in the fire of your own becoming. Because forgiveness is not weakness, it is the final victory. The strong man forgives, the resurrected man forgets. Not because he cannot remember, but because he has risen above it. So let them plot, let them mock, let them choke on their bitterness. You build, you lead, you endure. And while they drown in cycles of pain and vengeance, you walk free. Because the man who does not take revenge is the man God can trust with dominion. And that is what Christ came to give you. Not just peace, not just strength, but rule over yourself, over your passions, over the empire of your inner world. So do not take revenge, take command, and in doing so, you become untouchable. There is a kind of strength the world does not teach. It is not in the voice that overpowers. It is not in the hand that strikes back. It is in the stillness of a soul that knows the storm and walks anyway. Jesus stood trial, not once, but again and again, before Annas, before Caiaphas, before Pilate, before Herod, and before every voice that wanted him to defend himself, but he stayed silent. Why? Because true power does not perform. He was mocked, spit on, slapped. He was dressed in a robe to be ridiculed as a king by those who had no idea what kingship meant, and yet he did not shout. He did not scream. He did not break. This is the silence of sovereignty. The world teaches that silence means guilt, but in the kingdom, silence means authority. Christ's silence was not confusion. It was strategy. It was the sound of eternal truth, refusing to lower itself to mortal games. The mob shouted, and he stood. Pilate asked, "What is truth?" But Christ didn't answer, because the answer was standing in front of him. He did not need to defend his innocence. His being was the defense. This is the silence of the Lamb. This is the roar you cannot hear, but feel. And you, modern man, must learn this art. You who are provoked online. You who are challenged by those who misunderstand. You who are tempted to argue your worth every day. You do not need to shout. You do not need to win the comment section. You do not need to crush them with logic. You need to stand. Christ's silence teaches us that restraint is not cowardice. It is divine precision. Because he could have called legions of angels. He could have snapped his fingers and ended every mocker. He could have silenced the world in a breath. But he chose to walk the path, because that silence had work to do. And so does yours. When you are slandered, build. When you are misjudged, pray. When you are insulted, smile. Not because you are weak, but because you remember whose image you bear. You are not a mirror for hate. You are not a channel for rage. You are the dwelling place of peace. A man of God does not react. He responds. And sometimes the response is silence. Sometimes it is the refusal to meet foolishness on its own level. Proverbs says, "Do not answer a fool according to his folly, or you yourself will be just like him." Christ knew this before Solomon ever penned it. He showed us what royalty looks like in chains, what leadership looks like when bloodied, what kingship sounds like when it says nothing. So hold your tongue, lift your chin, let them speak, let them mock, let them think they've won, and keep walking, because the man who rules himself rules more than any man who rules others. You are not here to retaliate. You are here to reign. There's a flame inside you, not passion, not ambition, vengeance. It waits. It whispers. It keeps record. Every slight, every betrayal, every time they underestimated you, used you, mocked you, hurt you. It tells you, light the match, burn it down, let them feel what you felt. But Jesus said, "Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called sons of God." Not the war makers, not the revengers, the peacemakers. And peace is not found in silence. It is found in the choice to starve the fire. Anyone can burn. Anyone can destroy. But the man who refuses to feed the flame of vengeance, he becomes holy, because he has power, but chooses purity. Christ could have burned the world. He could have summoned fire from heaven. He could have scorched Rome to the ground with a word, but instead, he walked, he wept, he endured, because love isn't proven by what you feel. It's proven by what you refuse to become. You are not your rage. You are not your pain. You are the man who survived both. And now you stand at the fork in the road. Feed the fire, or master it. The world says, unleash it. Let them suffer. Christ says, forgive them. Love them. Rise above it. It feels unnatural, because it is. It is supernatural. Only a man reborn can look at the fire and walk away. Only a man touched by heaven can feel the full force of betrayal and still bless. And that's what you are becoming. Not a good man, a transformed one. Not a weak man, a resurrected one. You don't need revenge. You need resilience. You don't need fire. You need furnace. Because the fire you don't feed becomes the altar where your new life begins. So let them gossip. Let them curse. Let them try to stir your flame. And smile. Because the man who doesn't burn when provoked has already become invincible.